What'd you do in December? I know we haven't been able to meet because my schedule's been nuts.
You've been busy.
Really busy. I don't know how many units we closed in
with
December.
Good things.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
A lot. I think like 30 units.
I'm shocked that you even have time to go on vacation.
I don't, but I need it because I'm ready to say forget it.
I was super shocked because I didn't know you were in another country.
Oh, yeah.
So when I text you about, I think it was one of the showings that I did for one of your properties, you're responding, I'm in Mexico.
That's okay. See, I work anywhere.
What I'm just in general in business, you wouldn't expect somebody to text back about business when they're on vacation.
Oh.
You would take the time to even text me back instead of just ignoring the text, like I know a lot of people do.
Yeah,
I've had that happen to me plenty of times.
Well, that's what makes the difference between me and them.
I think so. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that I can see the difference between your work ethic. You know, everybody's a little bit different. I like to compare just in general.
Right.
You schedule a time and, you know, we have our time that we do this and you're there. To me, looking at myself, you know, I'm not this huge important person to say, you know, they're the same commitment that you have for your clients, you have when you say, okay, I will be there and we'll meet at this time. That translates to me as very, you know, very high quality commitment and high quality work ethic. I was reading the Millionaire Real Estate Agent again.
Yes.
I think this time around is such a different view.
Right.
But one of the pages that I was reading was the fiduciary
responsibility.
Yes. So just kind of a limited, I guess, follow the rules, help people, and the really committed agents that go above and beyond and really put their agents, you know, needs above everything. And the comparison and how it shows, you know, kind of low quality commitment. They do the bare minimum, and then the high quality commitment to their clients.
Right. Well, and that's the difference. That's one of the things when you're a high driver like I am, you know, work, is that a lot of other people don't have the same vision. So everybody has a different vision because you get into real estate for different reasons. Some people do it because they retired and they just want something to do. So they're not high producers. My goal's always been to be financially stable, which is a huge thing for me, and to make up all the money I lost in the downturn, you know, when we were doing the developments. So I think for me, that motivation to say, okay, let's just start putting away as much as we can. And that's why I think I'm such a high driver, because I've been there with nothing. And I think the next level of agents that are coming in were too young. Like they lived through it probably with their parents. Their parents weren't, you know, they were the ones going through the hardship. So I think that's what changes it. And then for me, just letting everybody set their own goal, because sometimes somebody will say a number and I'm like, well, that's really low, you know, because I think you could do twice of that. Right. But they may not want to, you know, you have to be committed to do twice of that. So
your capability of visualizing yourself doing more has already expanded, as opposed to that limiting belief that, you know, I can only do a couple of transactions.
Right.
You know, and you're saying, no, I think you can do more.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. You just got to do the work. Right. When people say that, I know you can do it. You just got to put the time in.
Yeah.
When people whine to me that they don't have any business, I'm like, okay, so what have you done? What are you doing? Just give me your daily schedule.
What are the facts?
Yeah. Oh, I drop the kids off. I go to lunch with my friends. I have to leave at 3 to get them. Okay. Well, that's why you're not selling any real estate. Unless you're driving from, you know, calls, contacts. You don't go to lunch unless it's a client that's either going to buy or sell or refer more business to you.
Yes.
And then hopefully a listing or showing houses in the afternoon before you go get your kids at 3. That's all it is.
Knowing what, what your focus is.
Right.
Focusing on those activities that are...
Oh, because it's so
important.
much easier to do everything else. I mean, we open our inbox every morning and there's 250 new emails, which 200 are junk, So we're going, it takes us 30 minutes to get through all of the solicitors to really get down to business. And sometimes I don't even open my email. Like if I have too many things to do, calling clients back, doing a market analysis, I can't even open my email because it distracts me. I'm just that person. And then in the mornings I quit opening my phone until I'm ready for the day. Because I would open my phone and I would start working, or I'd start answering text messages, and then the next thing you know, I'm not ready for my first appointment. I'm trying to get out the door. So now I just don't open it because I know what it does to my day. So you just have to, it's self-control. It's
right.
that, and what I like about that is it's all on me. Nobody else can do it but me. So I know that's how I think. It's like, I love it because you have all the power.
So when you have those times where you have set aside, let's say, a block of 2 hours, and let's say the block of 2 hours you're focusing on maybe admin work, right? Do you ever find yourself, like you're talking about emails and all that stuff, do you ever find yourself distracted and then go off on a tangent and then you're not doing that administrative work and getting those things done? Let's say you're working, on, organizing your schedule, or you're working on sending emails, or you're working on writing notes to your clients. How do you refocus yourself back to what you're supposed to be doing during those 2 hours?
So when I know I'm getting drawn away from what I'm supposed to be doing, so I always tell myself what's a priority. So the priorities are buyers and sellers, right? So if a buyer calls, or we have an offer going on, and maybe the admin work has to stop for right now because this is more of a priority, then I do the priority so that I'm not worried about it. I get it out of the way, and then I go back to that admin work. And just, but I try and rein myself back in because it's very easy. One of the things that I've done is shut the door, because sometimes everybody's like, do you have a minute? Do you have a minute? Do you have a minute? So you just get started into something and you're trying to focus, and you just have all these people coming in all day long. Well, you have to stop what you're doing, listen to what they're saying, and then try and go back to where you were in your process of thinking.
Cutting off your thoughts, your focus, and then...
And for me, that's very frustrating, very frustrating. So now I shut the door, and they know they better not knock unless it's urgent. And that's when I get the most work done.
I see.
Because they don't realize a minute here, a minute there. It's not a minute, because then it gets me 10 minutes to get refocused to really what I was doing. And so I think that's the key too. And I talked to Sabrina about it as well, because everybody is in her office all day long. How she does what she does is a miracle.
She's so welcoming.
She is.
When I do show up to your office, she engages with people so well.
Oh yes, she's fabulous.
She gets out of her desk, and just is there.
Right.
Which is great to have for custom use.
Right.
Great
That's
customer service.
Yeah, it's what we expect.
But that's definitely a high level.
It's high level thinking, and I think
thinking,
that's the key when you start getting admin, is that one of the things that came up as the team was growing with a past admin is they didn't want to grow. Like they wanted it to stay small. So it was kind of my fault because our visions weren't the same, and I didn't realize that early on, because the more we added, the more frustrated she became. And looking back, it's like, so now everybody that we hire, I tell them my vision, which is a very big process. I think it will start to explode again here in the next couple of years. So just everybody we hire, they have to know that our whole thing is to grow, but keep the level of customer service that we're doing.
Right.
So
keep the quality and then have an open mind to keep growing.
Yeah.
Keep get bettering.
Yeah, because the more I make, the more everybody else makes.
That's right.
So
it's a team effort.
Right. Yeah, because you can't do it without them.
Right.
And, and Sabrina, I just told her, shut your door. And it's so hard for her to shut her door. And I'm like, shut your door. They won't die. And shut it for 2 hours. And then everything that's a priority, they could come with a list. Because that was one of the things that with our new admin is they would say, you got a minute? And then we have to go over this. And then 2 minutes later, oh yeah, I have this. So I said, just keep a little tally going. And then when you have 3 or 4 things, then come and get me. Because it's so hard to just be pulled away all the time.
Yes. So it's kind of protecting that focus and that energy. This is a perfect subject because within the last couple days, I've been involved in a conversation about ethics and the workplace and reading the MREA book. Really focusing on what the high level agents' mentality is with knowing their purpose. Talks about high level agents, top agents, know what their purpose is. And that purpose is very simple and very defined, why they're doing what they're doing. So how did you get to that point? What was that definition for you purpose wise? It talks about, you're helping buyers, you're helping sellers, right?
We're all people pleasers. We like working with people. So I think for me, my story is a long story, but when we were doing the developments out on the Mesa, and then the owners that I was working with, it was a long process, and in the county delayed us for over a year, which really made a difference in the times when we went to sell. So our subdivisions didn't get approved until the end of 2006. Well, the crash started in 2007, which actually there were indicators in 2006, but I didn't see them because I wasn't like selling houses. I was only doing developments. We'd sell a house here and there because we'd build a new construction, but it wasn't like what you guys have access to, where you're seeing what's coming, that kind of thing, and then you could feel the shift in the market. Right. So there we lost over $500,000 personally. So I got divorced. I think I told you this story. Yes. So I got divorced in 2006. We finished our developments in 2006. I moved and the crash started in 2007. So everything that I had been working on, the job was no longer there.
It's gone.
Instantly. It felt like it was instant. So the good news is I had some money in savings, and I thought, not a problem. I have plenty of money to live till this kind of passes. So I didn't work what I should have been doing. I just wasn't doing it enough. I still sold, I think, 37 units, but I was selling $50,000 units. So
people don't do 37 units.
I needed 100 of them. But so then when we lost financially, we lost that money. And then the next few years were pretty hard. It's just a mindset. I just said, I'm in control here. If I want the market share, I could take it. I just have to be better than everybody else. And it may not be... So in that time, I think I developed my skills. So I think my negotiation skills are really good. I learned, we started making all these systems to make our lives easier. I mean, Sabrina and I at one time used to leave work at 5 o'clock, and I'd make the 5:30 gym workout, which hasn't happened probably in 2 years. And so during that time is when we really started building the processes as well. But for me, I was a single parent of 2 kids, and failure's not an option.
So his
Right.
mindset is not the other limiting circumstances that a lot of times we feel, oh, it's because of this, oh, it's because of
Right.
that. But taking that ownership, I see, like, from you, what inspires me about you is that you take that full ownership and say, I'm in control. What you just said, I'm in control,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no room to fail. I got to make this happen. What do I got to do? Kind of,
Right. Fail forward.
you know,
I mean,
take it and own it and go.
because who else can own it? Who else owns that you don't make 20 calls a day?
Yeah.
Who else owns that you're not out finding buyers? I mean, that's really what it's about.
We're so used to kind of pushing
Right.
those faults on other people, right? It was her fault that I didn't, or, oh, this and this happened to me. Or, I had
I
a
feel
difficult
so
time.
bad.
Oh, I got a divorce. Oh, somebody passed in the family and I couldn't
Right.
go. I couldn't do this,
Right.
Or,
I like
I'm
what-
not feeling well today.
I think that's
A
what,
lot of that emotion, right? Going through the emotional roller coaster with situations with, different buyers or sellers, and you go through all these emotions, and then you're having a horrible day. That's my excuse for not being responsible to what I said I was going to do, right?
so my goal is to be, the way that I feel about it is my children, I brought this into this world, so they've always been my responsibility, and I take that job very seriously. And I think when the market, a few years later when we were struggling financially, then there's no excuses. It's whether I had to work at Walmart, whether I had to go dig ditches, whatever I had to do had to be done. So what I did is just focused more on, okay, how could I become a better agent? So that was easy. Go to classes, know more than everybody else. Know water rights, know negotiation skills, know your contract backwards and forwards. When this comes up, be able to describe it. So when we're in these classes, a lot of people are like, I don't know how you say that. How do you say that people aren't going to love your purple wall? You just say it. Most people like a neutral palette. You have to learn to overcome those objections, and the more that you work with people, the more it is, and you're doing it out of sincerity. That's how I feel. Like, if you leave the purple wall, we're going to get beat up. They're going to want a paint allowance. It's going to cost 2 gallons of paint and a little bit of time to paint it, or your buyer's going to hit you with $2,000. And what you have to remember, which is a different subject, but every time a buyer puts something in their mind, it's usually double the cost of what it really is. Because how many people go and hire professional painters every other day?
Right.
But you would know. I mean, you should know with as much experience as you have. And then yesterday at the contracts class, we were talking about having bids done. So then it kind of gives you an idea of what things are going for, and having those professionals give you bids, even if you don't do the work, or your buyer doesn't, or seller doesn't do the work.
Right.
It's good to have some kind of knowledge of that.
Kind of an average
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah,
of
because
what
if somebody
things
says,
cost.
oh, that's a $2,000 paint job, and I can say, well, from the bids I've received recently, it's about $100 paint job.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
So the numbers can be really off, depending on the perception of the person.
Right. Yes. And I think, so in that time, it was, how can I develop my skills and be a better agent? And then really, so I had to get the kids at 3:30, just like every other parent. But when I was at work, I was at work. I was focused. I wasn't doing this or doing that, or, yes, I'd love to stay home and do the laundry. I love Judge Judy. I'd like to watch her every day at 2:00, but it's not an option,
Right.
So it's funny when you're sick and you're like, yeah, I'm sick because I get to watch Judge Judy today, so that's all it is. It's just a focus. It's a
Saying
mindset.
no to a lot of things that you would like
Right.
to be doing.
And it's okay to say no. Well, yeah, because I like to be sitting on a beach playing volleyball, hanging out. So if I want to be at the beach hanging out someday, you got to do the work. Nobody's going to take you to the beach, unless you marry well, which is always an option. So, So that's kind of what I just look at. And then, so now my goal's a little bit different. Retirement, of course, so just gaining assets, so there's that passive income. But the great thing is, if I want to take my kids on a trip, or my daughter needs scrubs, or my son needs a new computer, or any of that stuff, I can easily give them, and it doesn't affect my financial future at all. That's, to me, that's success. So everybody has their different level, but for me, that's, my mom needs something, I just go buy it. But that's who I am as a person. I'm a giver, so I like doing that, and I don't mind working hard, so that when that comes up, that I can do it.
So your family driven is been,
oh yeah, super
your
high.
passion and your purpose has been foundational because of your passion for your family, your love for your family, and you know, that's a really strong reason to do the work. How do you translate having, you know, your reason, right? We all kind of in different situations. I'm very similar to you in that sense that I have my children, and you know, they're the reason that I do a lot of the things that I do, and wake up every morning and, you know, work hard. But having that purpose and that reason, and then how do you translate that to getting that business and saying, okay, this is my reason why I'm here, why I'm an agent, and I know my purpose. And then how do you translate into saying, this is why you should hire me? How do you translate that from that passion to translating your value and really articulating and communicating the value that you bring to the community, to the person that's sitting right in front of you?
I think that was
as high level.
Right. I think it was a process. I don't think there's a few people that have, you know, come into the business and in 2 years they're just phenomenal rock stars. Mine was built, I think, over time. It's very easy now because, like I tell people, we closed, I think, 250 units last year. So I probably talked to 400 people. It makes it a lot easier when you talk to 400 people a year compared to 40 people a year. So the more you do it. But the one thing, I mean, I stress, I go to every single class. Every instructor has a different way of looking at things. And like the line by line class they had at PAR, just hearing the way that he perceives the contract and the way that I perceive the contract, it's exciting. It's a way, because if I ask you as a consumer, if I ask you what this means in a contract, you should be able to know what paragraph it is and exactly what that paragraph is saying in layman's terms. That's where people want to be taken care of, and they want to make sure that you know what you're doing. Okay? But I would say the biggest part of real estate is that customer service. Because once you are great to one person, that one person tells 3 more people, then those 3 people, you're great to them, and 3 more, and it just builds every year. And I think that's, our business just keeps building because we're still at the level where we could give that customer service. So it's about the connection. Most of our clients I just absolutely love. You know, I call them after they move and make sure everything's okay, and, you know, see how their kids are. So I like that connection, and I think when you're in the process, that's the connection. I'm very confident when I go in somewhere. I know what I know, and I think that people, it's easier to follow me because I am so confident. Like, I'm not afraid that you're interviewing 3 agents, great. Because it could be a personality thing. As far as contracts and my systems, I am the best. Like, I have no doubt I am the best. But then really having a relationship with a client where you could connect with them so that this process is easier and that they trust you. Because that's a huge part. I mean, I have had people in the past where they're always questioning, you know, little things. And I'm like, if you don't trust me to get you through this process, you need to find another agent. Because we have to be on the same team. we're either a team. We're not against each other, or you're against me. We're either a team to get this process done, or you need to find somebody you could be a team with. And
that's really bold. And, you know, a lot of times you find yourself trying to convince the other person of your value, of who you are, and why they should trust you, right? But instead you're saying, I'd rather have this conversation, right?
Yeah, I'd rather have it now than later, right? And if they chose you, so let's say they chose me because we're number one, but then I go to the appointment and it's this whole, like, you can feel when when they're going to be difficult the whole time. And sometimes it's just the way they perceive things, and maybe I'm not communicating it correctly, or they've been burned before. Like, I need to know why, and then I can help them through that process. But some people you'll just never make happy.
Right.
And those people, I'd rather have the conversation right away, because I'm probably not their agent, because those people take a lot of time. A lot of time. And there's times that we've had, we've only fired 3 people in my whole career. And the day I fired them all, I was relieved as a client. You know, we're going to go pick up our sign, we're going to get the lockbox, or do you want me to leave the key? And because they just brought such a negative energy. I mean, where the girls would just dread answering the phone. Well, that's no way to have a business.
Right.
And it makes their work harder, and it makes my work harder. So in those cases, you know, you have to just let them go, and it's okay. It was very hard in the beginning. It becomes much easier when you realize how much stress is going to be gone. And then it gives you that time, instead of focusing on that, to focus on the positive, which there's a lot of people out there that do want your help.
Right.
And those are the people you need to find.
And knowing your value comes with that, right? Knowing
Absolutely.
that you don't have to take all that negativity from one person,
right?
And
I
take
don't
away
care
your
if you
time
sold
and your
2
energy and
or
right.
200.
Gotcha.
If you have 2 and 1 is bad, get rid of the 1.
Right.
Because he or she is bringing you down to where you can't even project a positive attitude, because they're sucking the energy out of you. And so when that happens, you need to redirect. And all of you have value. You all have different value, and that's what you have to go on. So, you know, we've talked about it. You're Spanish speaking. You're an amazing person. I mean, women can relate to you. They're going to follow you because you're a natural born leader. We've talked about this before. That sometimes you get followed and you don't know where you're going, and I'm the same way too. But because of your confidence, that's why they do it. Consumers will do the same thing. As long as you're confident in what you're doing, you know, you're not always going to win everyone. And that's a hard lesson. I hate it. But the ones you do win, at least they respect you, and they know that you're leading. And that's what they want. They want the education. So it's every day. It's building the relationship. So they may not want to buy a house today. I took a phone call the other day. A guy wanted to know if those tubs that you put in for your parents, where they heat up and they could take a shower, if they added value to the property. Okay. And really, they don't add value, because most people that buy those houses end up tearing out the tub. Now, is there a value to the consumer? Yes. So for his mother, the value is that she'll get to use it for however many years she's in her house. But on resale, is it going to have a value? No. And so by taking that phone call, he said, well, my mother will be moving into an assisted living within the next couple of years, and you will be my agent. Because I took the phone call, because you're trying to help him through. I mean, that's a big decision. I think those tubs are like $8,000 or something.
Right.
It's a huge expense. So it was just building the relationship and helping somebody out, and then you know, if he talks to anybody else when he comes to help his mom and they need a house, he's gonna say, oh, Jami Baker Orr took the time to call me back.
And not being afraid to be honest and tell them what you feel that they don't want to hear, but you're still telling them what it is. You know,
Right.
you're being transparent about what you're communicating,
Right.
regardless of whether it's something that they are pushing for or not.
Right. Well, I don't think
Yeah, and it's a struggle sometimes when you're trying to make everybody happy to
Right.
really step up and be strong about being honest, right?
Right. Well,
Not
and
being afraid of that rejection or that that
Right.
reaction from the other person.
so I always tell people, if I sell you this house and I say it's terrific and you want to sell it in 2 years, I should not be saying these are the bad things. Like when people say, is there a negative to buying on the highway? There is. And statistically, I pull the stats and say, here's how many houses sold on the highway and here's how long it took. Here's the houses that aren't on the highway and here's how long it took. Because numbers don't lie. So I always tell people, if there's, or let's just say the floor plan's a little different. I just say most consumers like whatever, you know, and so this is unique. So I love it. You're unique. We'll have, just when we go to resell it, we're going to need a unique buyer. It's going to take a little bit longer.
Now, was Jami always like this? Or let's think like 10 years back when Jami started her career, that is maybe a little bit more relatable to people like me that are starting, you know, into real estate, or anybody else that's, you know, that's thinking of getting started, or, you know, it's kind of in that first 3-year bracket or 5-year bracket where a lot of people quit, right?
Right.
Because
They're exhausted and broke.
they're like,
right.
oh my gosh, what is this all about?
Right.
I didn't think it was going to be like this.
Right.
So,
Well, I think with me, my mom says I have no gray, which is probably true. I honestly think I came out of the womb like this. I do. I'm brutally honest. So I don't know if maybe
you came out negotiating.
Right. Or, you know, my daughter's the same way. So I think I was the same person, maybe not as confident, but the better your skills are, the more confident you become. Go to class. I tell people till I'm blue in the face. I was at class yesterday hoping to see a bunch of our agents there because, you know, we have over, 100 agents now, and not one. My whole team was there and nobody else. That it's disappointing.
Yeah.
Because you want to be number one, but you won't do what number one needs to do.
Right.
I can tell you,
I agree
if
with
I
that.
took the whole day off to learn contracts, they had the time to learn contracts. So it gets a little disappointing.
Yes.